The thing about working at Vesuvio is that you learn to read a room before the room knows it needs reading. Thursday nights especially. That's when the bridge and tunnel crowd mixes with the regulars who've been coming here since my Uncle Sal opened the place in '89. Back when this part of Red Hook was still honest about being rough, instead of pretending to be artisanal. Preparing and narrating this type of story took us long efforts and hard work. So if you are enjoying the story, please consider subscribing to our channel. I'm wiping down the copper bar top when I feel it, that shift in atmospheric pressure that means someone important just walked through the door. Not celebrity important, the other kind. The kind that makes Tommy, our 6'4" bouncer with the cauliflower ear, suddenly find something fascinating about his shoes. Dante Caruso. I've served him exactly 4 times in the 6 months I've been working here. Always Scotch, neat. Always a Macallan 18 if we have it. Oban 14 if we don't. Always tips exactly 40%, down to the cent, like he's calculated the precise amount that communicates generosity, without suggesting he's trying to impress anyone. He's younger than I expected the first time I saw him, maybe 35, which seems impossibly young for someone who apparently owns half the legitimate businesses in Brooklyn and all of the illegitimate ones. Dark hair going gray at the temples in that way that probably costs money to maintain. Suit that definitely costs money. Eyes that miss nothing, catalog everything, and reveal absolutely zero about what's happening behind them. Tonight he's not alone. 2 men flank him, bodyguards trying to look like friends. Behind them, 3 more men in slightly cheaper suits. A delegation. That's the word that comes to mind. This isn't a casual drink. This is theater. And Vesuvio is the stage. Uncle Sal emerges from the kitchen, wiping his hands on his apron. He and Dante do that thing men do, the nod that contains entire conversations. Sal gestures to the back corner. Our best table, the one with clear sightlines to both exits and the bathrooms. The one we never book, even on Saturday nights, because apparently we keep it available for exactly this purpose. I should have known. Should have figured it out months ago. But I was too busy trying to make rent and dodge my ex-boyfriend's increasingly unhinged text messages, and remember which regular likes their martini dirty, and which one threatened to burn this place to the ground if we ever put so much as a whisper of vermouth in his glass again. Giulia. Uncle Sal's voice breaks through my observation. Mr. Caruso's table. Full service tonight. Full service means I'm responsible for their entire evening. Every drink, every request, absolute attentiveness without being intrusive. It means tips that'll cover my rent. It also means, based on the way Sal's jaw is tight, that something significant is happening. I arrange 7 glasses on a tray. Pull down the Macallan 18 because I know that's what Dante drinks, but also grab the Oban 14 and a bottle of Bullet bourbon because his associates might have different preferences. Add a bucket of ice, fresh lemon twists, cocktail napkins that Sal insists we import from Italy for reasons I've never understood. The walk across Vesuvio's floor feels longer than it should. The restaurant has that warm, low-lit ambiance that makes everyone look like they're in a movie about themselves. Exposed brick, Edison bulbs, tables close enough that you can eavesdrop if you're interested, but not so close you feel crowded. Sinatra playing at the exact volume where you notice it when it stops. I reach their table and begin setting down glasses with the kind of silent efficiency. Uncle Sal drilled into me. Don't interrupt conversations. Don't make them acknowledge you until they're ready. Be present but invisible until needed. Gentlemen. I keep my voice low, professional. Macallan 18, Oban 14, Bullet, bourbon. What can I start you with? Dante glances up. For just a second, something flickers across his face. Recognition maybe, or interest. Then it's gone, replaced by that careful neutrality. Macallan, neat, he says. His voice has gravel in it, like he learned to talk by reading Cormac McCarthy novels. For everyone. His associates exchange glances. One of them older, maybe 60, with that particular kind of weathered face that suggests he's seen things he can't unsee, clears his throat. Actually, I'll take the bourbon. Rocks. Dante's expression doesn't change, but something happens in the silence that follows. A recalibration. The older man just contradicted him in public. Small thing, meaningless on the surface. But I've been serving drinks long enough to know that small things are never meaningless when men like this are involved. Of course. I pour with practiced precision. The good bourbon makes a particular sound against ice, a clean, expensive sound. Anyone else have preferences? They order. I pour. Dante watches me work with that unreadable expression. When I finish, I step back and prepare to leave them to their business. "You're Sal's niece," Dante says. Not a question. "Yes, sir." "Medical student." That stops me. I'm not a medical student anymore. Haven't been for 8 months, since my student loans came due and my mother's MS treatments started eating through her disability payments like acid through cloth. But the fact that he knows I was. "Took a leave," I say carefully. "Temporarily?" He nods once, filing that information away somewhere in his apparently encyclopedic knowledge of people who serve him drinks. "Thank you, Giulia." Dismissed. I retreat to the bar, where Uncle Sal is pretending to inventory bottles, while actually watching Dante's table like it's a falcon that might suddenly dive. "You didn't tell me he owned this place," I say quietly, restocking garnishes. "He doesn't own it." Sal's voice is tight. "He protects it. There's a difference." "Is there?" Sal looks at me then, really looks at me, and I see worry in his eyes that's been there since I moved back to Brooklyn. Worry I've been ignoring because acknowledging it would mean acknowledging all the things I'm trying not to think about. "Yes," he says. "There is. And you need to understand that difference if you're going to work here." Before I can respond, the door opens again. These men are different. 3 of them, Asian, moving with a particular kind of controlled purpose. They don't scan the room the way normal people do when entering a restaurant. They already know exactly where they're going, what they're looking for. Tommy, the bouncer, shifts his weight. Sal's hand moves incrementally toward something under the bar. A weapon, probably. Or a panic button. Or both. The lead man's slim, maybe 40, expensive watch, face like a closed fist, surveys Vesuvio with the air of someone conducting an inspection. His eyes find Dante's table. Lock on. Something happens in his expression that might be satisfaction. He says something to his companions in what sounds like Japanese. They spread out, taking positions that definitely aren't random. One near the door, one near the bathroom hallway. Strategic points. The lead man walks directly to Dante's table. I'm already moving, operating on instinct and 6 months of muscle memory. Whatever's about to happen, it involves Dante, and Dante is my table, which means I'm responsible for managing it. "Good evening," I say, intercepting him 3 feet from Dante. "Can I get you a table?" He looks at me like I'm furniture that learned to talk. "I'm here to see Mr. Caruso." His English is perfect, almost accentless. That's somehow more threatening than if he'd been difficult to understand. This is a man who's studied American business, American culture, who knows exactly how to navigate this world. Of course. Let me check if he's available. I turn toward Dante's table, buying. Seconds. Dante's entire posture has changed. He's still seated, still relaxed to the casual observer, but I notice the way his hand has moved closer to his inside jacket pocket, the way his associates have shifted their positions fractionally, the way the older man who ordered bourbon has gone very, very still. "Mr. Caruso, you have a visitor." Dante's eyes move from me to the man behind me. "Kenji, this is unexpected." "Is it?" Kenji's voice carries across the small distance. "I was under the impression we had business to discuss. We concluded our business last week." Dante stands, buttoning his jacket with one hand, a casual gesture that positions his body between Kenji and his associates. I made my position clear. "Your position?" Kenji's smile doesn't reach his eyes. "Yes, you were very clear. Unfortunately, my employers found your position unacceptable. The restaurant has gone quiet. Not obviously, Sinatra still plays. Silverware still clinks. Conversations can continue, but there's a quality to it now. Like everyone's talking slightly softer, moving slightly slower, pretending not to notice what's happening in the back corner. Then we have nothing further to discuss." Dante's voice carries finality. Kenji reaches into his jacket. Everything happens fast and slow simultaneously. Dante's bodyguards move. Tommy starts toward the table. Uncle Sal's hand goes fully under the bar, but Kenji just pulls out a business card. Holds it between 2 fingers like a peace offering or a threat with men like this. Probably both. A gesture of goodwill. Kenji says, "To demonstrate we can be flexible." He places the card on the table. Then, without waiting for a response, he gestures to his companions. They converge on him like a well-oiled machine and exit through Vesuvio's front door as precisely as they entered. The silence that follows has texture. Dante picks up the card, studies it. His expression could be carved from marble. Giulia, he, doesn't look at me. Another round for my associates. And, he pauses. A glass of water. Water. After that? That's what he orders? But I nod and return to the bar, where Uncle Sal is white-knuckled against the counter. That was Kenji Tanaka, Sal whispers. From the Yamaguchi Gumi. If he's in Brooklyn. Yamaguchi what? Yakuza. Japanese organized crime. Sal's voice is barely audible. They've been trying to expand East Coast operations for 2 years. If they're approaching Dante directly, in public. He doesn't finish the sentence. Doesn't need to. I prepare the drinks, hands steadier than they should be. Medical training, maybe you learn to function under pressure when people are bleeding out in front of you. Add a glass of ice water to the tray. When I return to the table, the atmosphere has shifted again. Dante's associates are talking in low, urgent voices. Dante himself is silent, turning that business card over and over between his fingers like a poker chip. I distribute drinks. Save the water for last, placing it directly in front of Dante. He looks up at me then, and for just a second, I see something behind the carefully maintained facade. Calculation, yes. Assessment, certainly. But also something else. Concern, maybe. Or recognition that whatever just happened has changed things. Thank you, he says. I nod and step back, but don't fully retreat. Something about this feels unfinished. That's when I notice the second glass of water. It's on a passing server's tray, a different server, Marco, who's been here longer than me. He's carrying it toward Dante's table from the kitchen, moving with purpose. But we don't serve water unless requested, and I just delivered Dante's water. My eyes track Marco's path. He's not looking at me. His expression is focused, determined, moving through Vesuvio's floor like he belongs there, which he does, except something about his gait is wrong. Too rigid, too purposeful. The glass on his tray catches the light, and I see it, not with my eyes exactly, with the part of my brain that spent 2 years in organic chemistry and pharmacology labs. The part that learned to recognize when liquids have the wrong viscosity, the wrong opacity, the wrong way of catching light. The water in that glass isn't quite clear. There's something in it, an almost imperceptible cloudiness, barely visible under Vesuvio's low lighting, like glycerin, or propylene glycol, or, my heart stops, ricin, or something similar. Something that dissolves poorly in water, but well enough to be delivered. Something that would look like a heart attack or stroke later, after the restaurant had closed, after everyone had gone home. Marco is 12 feet from Dante's table, 10 feet. My body moves before conscious thought catches up. I'm crossing the floor, my hand already reaching out. Don't drink that. My voice tears through Vesuvio's carefully maintained ambiance like a gunshot. Heads turn, conversations stop. Sinatra. Keep singing, oblivious. I reach Marco and slap the tray upward. The glass tumbles through air in slow motion. Water arcing out in a crystalline spray that catches Edison light and transforms it into something almost beautiful. The glass explodes against the floor. Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Marco stares at me like I've just destroyed his entire world, which, I realize with cold certainty, I probably have. Dante is on his feet. His bodyguards have weapons drawn. I don't know where they were concealed, but suddenly there are guns in Vesuvio, in Uncle Sal's restaurant, in this place that's supposed to be about family and good food, and pretending Brooklyn isn't what it actually is. Explain. Dante's voice could freeze nitrogen. I'm shaking. My hand hurts from hitting Marco's tray. The entire restaurant is staring at us. The water. I manage. In that glass. It was contaminated. Contaminated, Dante repeats, like he's testing the word's weight. Cloudy. Water shouldn't be. Cloudy. Something was dissolved in it, poorly dissolved, which means it wasn't supposed to be there. I think my medical training surfaces through adrenaline. I think it was ricin. Or something similar. Something that would kill you slowly enough that no one would connect it to the restaurant. Marco is backing away. Just small steps, incremental, but unmistakable. Marco. Dante's voice stops him like a physical barrier. Stay exactly where you are. Then Dante looks at his bodyguards and says something in Italian. They move immediately, one to the front door, one to the kitchen entrance. Within seconds, I hear locks engaging, metal sliding against metal, the front door, the kitchen door. Even the bathroom hallway, someone's back there, I realize, locking that exit too. What are you doing? Someone calls from across the restaurant. A customer, a woman in her 50s with the kind of haircut that costs more than my monthly rent. Dante doesn't answer her. He's looking at Uncle. Sal, and another one of those wordless conversations happens. Sal nods once, moves to the center of the dining room. "Ladies and gentlemen," Sal announces, voice steady despite the paleness of his face. "We've had a minor security situation. For everyone's safety, Vesuvio will be temporarily closed. No one will be permitted to leave until this is resolved." Protests erupt, chairs scrape. Someone's demanding to call their lawyer. But Dante's men are positioned at every exit, and something about their stance communicates that this isn't negotiable. The protests die down into angry muttering. Dante turns back to me. "You recognized poison in a glass of water from across the room. I recognized contamination. The poison is an educated guess based on context and solubility." "Context," he repeats. "Kenji Tanaka just left. You refused his business proposal. He positioned his men strategically before approaching you. And Marco." I glance at the server, who's now surrounded by Dante's bodyguards. "Marco started working here 3 months ago, right when I started. Uncle Sal hired us both at the same time, which seemed lucky then. But now you think he was planted. I think someone wanted access to your table, to you, and I think they just tried to use it." Dante studies me for a long moment. I can feel him reassessing everything he knows about me. Sal's niece, failed medical student. Bartender who apparently recognizes poison by sight. "What's your full name?" "Giulia Teresa Russo." "Giulia Teresa Russo." He tests it out. "You just saved my life. Maybe, if I'm right about the poison." "You are." He says it with absolute certainty, which means someone in this restaurant tried to kill me, which means no one leaves until I know who, how, and who sent them. He gestures to one of his men. "Test the water from that broken glass, carefully. I want to know exactly what was in it." Then he looks at Marco, who's now visibly sweating despite Vesuvio's air conditioning. "And bring him to the office. We're going to have a conversation." The way he says, "conversation," makes it clear it won't involve talking. Marco tries to run. He makes it maybe 4 steps before Dante's bodyguards tackle him. Professional, efficient, brutal. Within seconds, Marco's on the floor, arms twisted behind his back, face pressed against Vesuvio's expensive hardwood. "Wait," I hear myself say. "Wait, you can't what?" Dante turns to me, and there's something in his eyes now. Something that reminds me that all the expensive suits and cultured Scotch preferences and careful restaurant etiquette are just surface. Under that is something much older, much darker. Can't question the man who just tried to murder me in your uncle's restaurant? Can't protect the 37 innocent people who are now witnesses to an attempted assassination? Can't secure a crime scene that might contain evidence about a Yakuza expansion into Brooklyn? He steps closer. Not threatening exactly, but definitely invading my space. "Giulia Teresa Russo, you saved my life. That creates certain obligations for both of us. So right now, you have a choice. You can pretend you didn't see what you saw, walk away, 10 bar, go back to your regular life and hope no one asks questions." He pauses. "Or you can help me figure out who else in this restaurant might want me dead. Because if the Yakuza planted one person here, they probably planted more. And until I know who and how many, these doors stay locked." The restaurant has gone completely silent. 37 people, like Dante said. Customers, staff, everyone frozen in this moment. I think about medical school. About the Hippocratic oath I never got to take but always intended to. First, do no harm. But harm is already done. The poison is already prepared. The assassination is already attempted. The only question is what comes next. "I'll help," I hear myself say. "But no torture. No, whatever you're planning with Marco. If we're doing this, we do it clean." Dante's eyebrow rises fractionally. "Clean. Information gathering. Investigation. You want to know who tried to kill you? Fine. I want to know who I've been working with for 3 months who apparently wanted to poison my customers. We both want answers, so we work together. Professionally. Professionally," he repeats, and there might be amusement in his voice. Hard to tell. Then he extends his hand. "Deal. But when I find out who ordered this hit, the professional courtesy ends. Understood?" I shake his hand. His grip is firm, warm, completely assured. "Understood." Uncle Sal is staring at me like I've just volunteered to swim across the Atlantic. Maybe I have. Dante releases my hand and addresses the restaurant at large. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the inconvenience. As Mr. Russo said, we've had a security situation. For your safety and ours, you'll need to remain here temporarily. My people will take statements from each of you. Cooperate, and you'll be home by midnight. Resist. He doesn't finish the sentence, just lets the implication hang. Then he turns to me. Your uncle's office. 5 minutes. Bring whatever you need to analyze that water sample. He walks away, his men parting like a sea. I'm left standing in the middle of Vesuvio, surrounded by locked doors and frightened customers and the shattered remains of a glass that might have contained murder. Uncle Sal appears at my elbow. Giulia, what the hell did you just agree to? I don't know, I admit. But I think I just became Dante Caruso's partner in a murder investigation. Partner, Sal repeats, like the word is foreign. Tesoro, you don't partner with men like that. You survive them. There's a difference. Maybe there is. But as I head toward the bar to grab my old medical kit, the one I kept from school, the one with basic diagnostic supplies, I'm not thinking about survival. I'm thinking about that moment when I saw the cloudy water. That instant when instinct overrode self-preservation. I'm thinking about how I'm apparently still trying to save people, even when the people I'm saving could probably kill me without losing sleep. The office door is closed when I arrive. I knock once. Enter. Dante's voice comes through the wood. I push open the door and step into whatever comes next. The office is smaller than I expected. Dante sits behind Uncle Sal's cluttered desk like he owns it, which, I'm increasingly realizing, he probably does in every way that matters. The older man who ordered bourbon stands by the window, arms crossed. 2 bodyguards flank the door, and in the center of the room, zip-tied to a chair, is Marco. His face is already bruised. Someone worked fast. You said no torture, I say immediately. I said I'd agree to your terms while gathering information, Dante corrects. Marco here was. Resistant to information gathering, we encouraged cooperation. By beating him. By establishing parameters. Dante's voice is patient, like he's explaining something obvious to a child. Marco understands those parameters now. Don't you, Marco? Marco says nothing. Blood trickles from his split lip. I move into the room, set my medical kit on the desk, start pulling out supplies, testing strips, pH indicators, the basic tools I'd use in a lab setting if I were still in school. I need the water sample, I say. The one from the broken glass. One of the bodyguards produces an evidence bag. Inside, shards of glass and maybe 2 tablespoons of liquid. Not much, but maybe enough. I put on gloves habit from medical school and carefully extract a sample with a pipette. The liquid is definitely cloudy, more obvious now that I can examine it closely. First test. pH. I dip a strip, wait for the color change. Slightly alkaline. Not dramatic, but enough to suggest something's been added. Second test. I add a drop of potassium permanganate. If there's organic poison present, it should react. The solution turns brown-black immediately. Positive, I say quietly. There's definitely something organic in here. Probably a protein-based toxin. Ricin, Dante states. Most likely, though it could be abrin or something similar. I'd need a proper lab to be certain. I look up at him. This would have killed you. Slowly, painfully. You would have seemed fine initially. Then within hours started showing symptoms. GI distress, fever, seizures. By the time you got to a hospital, it would be too late. Dante nods once, like I've confirmed something he already knew. Then he turns to Marco. Who gave you the poison? Marco's jaw is clenched so tight I can see the muscles working. He says nothing. Marco, I say, moving closer. I've worked with you for 3 months. We've shared shifts. You helped me carry kegs from the basement. You covered for me when I was late because the F train broke down. I crouched down to eye level. Why would you try to kill someone? For a moment, something flickers in his eyes. Regret, maybe. Or fear. They have my sister, he whispers finally. In Tokyo. She went there to teach English 2 years ago. Last month, someone approached me. Said they knew where she lived. Said they could make her disappear if I didn't cooperate. The Yakuza, Dante says. Not a question. Marco nods miserably. I didn't want to. I swear I didn't want to. But they sent me pictures. Her apartment, her route to work. They knew everything. Who was your contact? Dante's voice has gentled slightly. Not kind, exactly, but pragmatic. Who gave you the poison? I don't know his real name. He said to call him Sato. We met twice, once in Prospect Park, once near the Brooklyn Bridge. He gave me the ricin in a sealed vial, told me to dissolve it in water and serve it to you tonight after Kenji left. After Kenji left, Dante repeats. So this was coordinated. Kenji's visit was meant to distract me. He said you'd be focused on the business card, that you wouldn't notice the water glass. I exchanged glances with Dante. He was right to lock down the restaurant. This wasn't amateur hour. This was a professional hit, carefully planned, using leveraged assets. Is there anyone else? I ask Marco. Anyone else in the restaurant who's working with the Yakuza? I don't know. Sato said I was one of several precautions. He didn't say how many. Dante stands, moves to the window, looks out at the restaurant floor beyond. Several precautions, he murmurs. Which means there could be 2, 3, 4 others out there. Staff or customers or both. He turns back to me. We need to identify anyone who started working here in the last 3 months. Anyone who had access to this restaurant. And we need to check every drink, every plate of food, every potential delivery method for poison. That's 37 people, I point out. We can't interrogate all of them. No, but we can observe them. See who's nervous, who's watching the doors too carefully, who's trying to position themselves close to me. He pulls out his phone. My people will handle the customers. You and I will focus on the staff. Why me? He looks at me directly. Because you recognized poison from across a room. Because you clearly have medical training and investigative instincts. And because, he pauses, because you're the only person in this restaurant I'm certain isn't trying to kill me. It's a backhanded compliment, but I'll take it. What about Marco's sister? Dante considers this. Give me her information. If she's in Tokyo, I have people there. We'll extract her quietly. The Yakuza's leverage disappears. Just like that? Just like that. He says it like moving pieces on an international chessboard is routine. Maybe for him, it is. Marco provides an address, a phone number, details. Dante relays them to someone via text with impressive speed. Then he turns to his bodyguards. Keep Marco here, secure but unharmed. He's not the enemy, he's a victim who made bad choices under duress. To Marco, if you cooperate fully, your sister will be safe and you'll walk away from this. If you lied about anything, you'll disappear in ways that make your sister's situation look pleasant. Clear? Marco nods frantically. We leave the office. The restaurant floor feels different now, every person a potential threat, every movement suspicious. Uncle Sal intercepts us immediately. Dante, this is insane. You can't hold these people. I can and I will, Dante interrupts. One of your servers just tried to poison me with Yakuza-supplied ricin. There are likely others. Until I identify them, no one leaves. Sal looks at me. Giulia, tell him, he's right, Uncle Sal. My voice sounds steadier than I feel. If there are more assassins here and people leave, we'll never find them. And the Yakuza will just try again, somewhere else, with more casualties. Sal closes his eyes. When he opens them, he looks older. What do you need? Employment records, I say. Everyone hired in the last 3 months. And I need to know if anyone's been acting strange lately. Different routines, unexplained absences, anything unusual. Sal nods slowly. Give me 10 minutes. As he walks away, Dante touches my elbow lightly. You're good at this. At what? Investigation. Reading situations. You would have made a good doctor. Would have, I repeat. The past tense stings more than it should. He notices. Why did you leave medical school? Money. Or lack thereof. I don't owe him my story, but for some reason, I'm telling it anyway. My mom got sick. MS. The treatments are experimental, expensive. Insurance covers some, but the co-pays. Student loans came due. I had to choose between becoming a doctor someday and taking care of my mother now. So you chose her, wouldn't you? Something shifts in his expression. My mother died when I was 16, cancer. My father spent every dollar we had trying to save her, borrowed from people who don't forget debts. When she died anyway, he couldn't pay them back. He doesn't elaborate on what happened to his father. Doesn't need to. I'm sorry, I say. Don't be. It taught me valuable lessons about loyalty, debt, and the price of desperation. He meets my eyes. It's why I don't judge people like Marco. Sometimes you make terrible choices because the alternative is watching someone you love suffer. There's a moment of understanding between us. Two people shaped by medical debt and impossible choices, and the way illness can destroy families financially before it destroys them physically. Then one of his bodyguards approaches. Boss. We have a problem. Dante's attention shifts instantly. What problem? One of the customers. He keeps trying to get to the bathroom. Says it's an emergency. But he's been checking his phone every 30 seconds. Which customer? Table 9. Business suit. Mid-40s. Dining alone. Dante and I exchange glances. Dining alone at Vesuvio on a Thursday night is unusual. Most people come here for the social atmosphere. Show me, Dante says. We move through the restaurant floor. Customers watch us pass with varying degrees of fear and resentment. A woman is crying quietly at table 6. A couple at table 12 is arguing in whispered hisses. Table 9 sits near the back, close to the bathroom hallway. The man there is exactly as described, business suit, unremarkable face, the kind of person who blends into any corporate environment. Except he's sweating, and his hand keeps moving to his inside pocket. Dante approaches casually, like he's just making rounds to check on guests. Sir, I apologize for the inconvenience. Can I get you anything while you wait? The man's eyes flick to Dante, then away. Just need the bathroom. Of course. Unfortunately, that area is temporarily restricted. But I can have someone escort you. I'll wait, the man says quickly. Too quickly. Dante smiles. It doesn't reach his eyes. I insist. He gestures to one of his bodyguards. Tony, please escort this gentleman to the facilities. The man stands reluctantly. As he does, his jacket shifts, and I see it the unmistakable shape of a weapon in a shoulder holster. Dante sees it too. Everything happens fast. Tony moves to restrain him. The man goes for his gun. Another bodyguard tackles him from behind. The gun goes off a deafening crack in the enclosed space, and I watch the bullet punch into the ceiling, showering plaster dust. Screams erupt. People dive under tables. Someone's shouting about calling 911. But Dante is already on top of the situation. His people have the gunman pinned, disarmed, zip-tied. The whole thing takes maybe 10 seconds. When the dust settles, literally, Dante is holding the man's weapon with professional familiarity. A Glock 19. Standard issue for professionals. Check him, Dante orders. They find 3 things. A phone with a single contact listed as Sato, A, fake ID identifying him as Robert Chen, and a second vial of ricin in his jacket pocket. Dante looks at me. Precaution number 2. How many more? I wonder aloud. That, Dante says, is exactly what we're going to find out. He addresses the restaurant again, voice cutting through the lingering panic. Ladies and gentlemen, that incident was unfortunate but contained. The individual in question was armed and carrying poison. He has been neutralized. For those of you who are innocent bystanders, I deeply apologize. For anyone else considering similar actions. He lets the implication hang. Consider that man's current situation and make better choices. Then, quieter to me, your uncle's employment records. Now, we return to the office. Sal has everything ready, personnel files for every employee hired in the last 6 months. 7 people total. Marco, 2 other servers, 2 line cooks, a dishwasher, and me. I'm in my own file. That's surreal. Dante spreads the files on the desk, studies them with intense focus. These 2. He taps 2 folders. Servers hired within a week of each other. Both listed references that are disconnected phone numbers. Both have minimal work history. That's not unusual for restaurant work, I point out. People move around. References go stale. Maybe. He's not convinced. Let's talk to them. Separately. See if their stories match their paperwork. The first server, Angela, mid-20s, art student, is clearly terrified but apparently legitimate. Her answers are consistent. Her fear is genuine. And she provides a working phone number for her previous employer who confirms her employment. The second server, David, early 30s, professional demeanor is different. He's too calm. Too collected for someone trapped in a locked restaurant with a gunman neutralized and an attempted poisoning foiled. How long have you worked in restaurants? Dante asks conversationally. About 8 years. Worked my way up from busser. And before Vesuvio? A place in Manhattan, The Grange, farm-to-table spot. I pull out my phone, Google, The Grange, Manhattan. It existed. Closed 2 months ago. Convenient. Did you know Marco well? I ask. David's eyes flick to me. Not really. We worked different sections mostly. But you started the same week. Coincidence. And the man at table 9, Dante continues. The one with the gun. Did you serve him tonight? No. That was Angela's section. Did you notice him at all? Can't say I did. David's voice is steady. Too steady. Like he's rehearsed these answers. Dante leans back, studies him. David, I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to think very carefully before you answer. Do you have family in Japan? The micro-expression that flashes across David's face is answer enough. My girlfriend, he says finally. She's teaching in Osaka. We've been long distance for a year. And someone approached you about her. David closes his eyes. They said they knew, where she worked. Sent me pictures of her in her classroom. Said if I didn't help them, she'd have an accident. Help them how? Just watch. Report Dante's movements, his routines, who he met with. I wasn't supposed to do anything directly. Just observe and report. To Sato, I guess. David nods miserably. I didn't know about the poison. I swear I didn't know Marco was going to I just thought it was intelligence gathering. Dante looks at me. 3 precautions. Marco to deliver the poison, the gunman as backup, David to provide surveillance and confirm my patterns. How many more? I ask. Unknown. But we're running out of recently hired staff. He turns back to David. Is there anyone else? Anyone you communicated with besides Sato? No. He was my only contact. We met once, in Central Park. He gave me a phone burner, untraceable. I reported via text. And tonight, what were you supposed to report? Whether Marco succeeded. Whether you drank the water. If you didn't, I was supposed to signal the gunman. How? David pulls out his phone, shows us a simple messaging app with one contact. The last message, sent 10 minutes ago, says, clean, clean, meaning I hadn't drunk the poison, meaning the gunman should proceed with Plan B. You sent that after I knocked the glass away, I realize. I had to. If I didn't send anything, Sato would know something was wrong. I was trying to buy time. By triggering a gunman, Dante points out. I didn't know he had a gun, I thought. I don't know what I thought. I just knew if I didn't follow protocol, my girlfriend would die. Dante considers this. Then, like with Marco, he pulls out his phone and starts texting. Osaka girlfriend. Details. David provides them. Dante relays them. Somewhere in Japan, I imagine pieces are being moved again. Protective custody arranged. Leverage eliminated. If you cooperate completely, Dante tells David, she'll be safe and you'll walk away from this. You'll also never work in Brooklyn again. And you'll understand that if I ever see you within a mile of me or my operations, the mercy I'm showing tonight evaporates. Clear? Crystal. We leave David in the office with Marco. 2 compromised servers, both victims of the same leverage. Back on the restaurant floor, I do a quick count. 37 people when we started. Minus Marco and David. Minus the gunman. 34 remaining, including Uncle Sal, me, and Dante's people. How many of your bodyguards were already in the restaurant when you arrived? I asked Dante. 4. 2 came with me. 2 were already positioned. Already positioned, I repeat, meaning you knew something might happen tonight. He glances at me. I had intelligence that the Yakuza was planning a move. I didn't know when or how. That's why I came to Vesuvio instead of somewhere more exposed. You used the restaurant as a controlled environment. I used it as a location where I had resources and allies. Your uncle has been cooperative over the years. Cooperative, that word again. You own Vesuvio, I say. Not a question anymore. I own the building. Your uncle owns the business. It's a mutually beneficial arrangement. Does he pay you protection money? He pays fair rent. And in exchange, I ensure certain problems don't become his problems. Problems like the Yakuza. Exactly. I should be angry. Should feel betrayed that Uncle Sal never told me the truth about who really controls this place. But mostly I'm just tired and wired and trying to process everything that's happened in the last hour. A crash from the kitchen makes us both turn. One of the line cooks, young guy, maybe 22, Nervous energy has dropped a stack of plates. He's apologizing frantically to Uncle Sal while trying to clean up. How long has he worked here? I ask. Dante checks his mental database. 4 months. Started in March. 4 months, right in the window. We move toward the kitchen. The cook, his name is Kevin, I remember now, is still cleaning up broken porcelain. Kevin, I say gently, can we talk to you for a minute? He looks up, and the fear in his eyes is immediate and obvious. I didn't do anything. No one said you did, Dante replies. We're just talking to everyone who started recently. Routine. But Kevin is already backing away, still holding a broken plate like a shield. Kevin, I try again. It's okay. We just wanna... He runs, straight toward the back door, the emergency exit that leads to the alley. But Dante's people are faster. They intercept him before he makes it 5 steps. Unlike the gunman, Kevin doesn't fight. He just collapses, sobbing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Dante crouches beside him. What are you sorry for, Kevin? The gas. I was supposed to turn on the gas. After Marco served the water, while everyone was distracted. Just turn it on. Not light it. Just let it build up. They said it would create chaos. An evacuation. Give the gunman a clear mind. Shot in the confusion. But you didn't turn it on. I couldn't. When I saw the glass break, when I heard that woman scream, he looks at me. I just couldn't. I've been in the kitchen trying to figure out what to do. Then I dropped the plates and I panicked. Who gave you this job? I asked gently. Sato. Same guy. He said he'd pay off my student loans if I got hired here and did one simple job. Turn a valve. That's all. Just turn a valve. Did he mention the poison? No. He said it was about creating a distraction. He never said anything about killing anyone. 4 precautions, I think. Marco with the poison. The gunman with the weapon. David with the surveillance. Kevin with the gas, creating chaos for the final attempt. Layered, redundant, professional. Anyone else? Dante asks Kevin. Anyone else you've seen talking to Sato or acting suspicious? No. He told me I was working alone. That compartmentalization kept everyone safe. Dante stands. Take him to the office with the others. Same terms cooperate, and he walks away. Kevin is escorted away, still crying. I lean against the kitchen counter, processing. 4 people. 4 different methods of attack, all coordinated for tonight, after Kenji's visit. The Yakuza doesn't do anything by half measures, Dante says. When they decide to move, they move decisively. But they failed. Because I recognized cloudy water. Because you recognized cloudy water, he confirms. Something in his voice sounds almost reverent. Medical training saved my life tonight. And doomed me to being locked in a restaurant with 34 potential witnesses and 4 compromised employees. 34 witnesses who will be handsomely compensated for their silence, Dante corrects. My lawyers are already drafting NDAs. Everyone leaves with $5,000 and the understanding that discussing tonight results in severe consequences. You're bribing them. I'm compensating them for trauma and inconvenience. There's a difference. Maybe there is. Or maybe I'm just too exhausted to care about the distinction. What about the gunman? I ask. The guy from table 9. He's not going to take an NDA and walk away. No, Dante agrees. He won't. The finality in his voice tells me everything I need to know about the gunman's future. I don't want to know, I say quickly. Good. Because I'm not going to tell you. Uncle Sal appears from the dining room, looking haggard. Everyone's been interviewed. No one else seems connected. Most people are just terrified and want to go home. Then let them, Dante decides. Start with the customers furthest from my table. Work inward. Get signatures on NDAs, distribute compensation, let them leave through the front, keep it orderly. Sal nods and disappears. Slowly, carefully, the restaurant begins to empty. I watch from behind the bar as people file out, each stopping at a table where Dante's lawyers have set up an impromptu processing station. Sign here. Here's your compensation. Here's what happens if you talk. Most people sign without reading. A few ask questions. Everyone leaves looking dazed. By 1 a.m., only staff remains. The people who work here regularly, who aren't part of the Yakuza's scheme. Plus Dante and his people. Plus me. You should go home, Dante tells me. Get some rest. This has been insane? I was going to say eventful, almost a smile. But insane works too. What happens now? With the Yakuza? Now I respond. They made a move on my territory, in a place I protect. That requires consequences. More violence. Measured violence. He corrects. Strategic. I'm not starting a war. I'm ending one before it begins. I should probably argue. Should probably tell him there are better ways, legal ways, civilized ways. But I think about Marco's sister in Tokyo, David's girlfriend in Osaka, Kevin's student loans, the way the Yakuza weaponizes decent people's desperation. And I think maybe Dante's kind of violence is the only language organizations like that understand. Giulia. His voice pulls me back. Thank you. For tonight. For recognizing the poison. For agreeing to help. You could have walked away. You chose not to. I chose to stop someone from being murdered in front of me. That's not exactly heroic. That's just basic human decency. You'd be surprised how rare basic human decency is in my world. He reaches into his jacket slowly, clearly, making sure I see the motion, and pulls out a business card. His personal card, I assume. Probably has a private number. If you need anything, protection, money, help with your mother's medical bills, call this number. I take the card, study it. Simple black printing on cream stock. Just a name and number. No title, no company. Nothing to indicate what he actually does. I don't want your money. I say, I know. That's why I'm offering. He adjusts his jacket. But the protection isn't optional. The Yakuza knows you were here. Tonight. Knows you intervened. There's a chance, small, but non-zero, that they might decide you're a loose end. Ice slides down my spine. You're saying they might come after me. I'm saying I'm going to make sure they don't. You'll have security. Discreet, unobtrusive. You won't see them, but they'll be there. For how long? Until I've resolved the situation. And when will that be? He meets my eyes. I promise you, Giulia, this ends soon. Then he's gone, his remaining people following like a well-orchestrated tide. Uncle Sal finds me behind the bar, still holding Dante's card. You okay, Tesoro? No, I admit. But I will be. He hugs me. Tight. The kind of hug that communicates things words can't. You were brave tonight. Stupid, but brave. Thanks, Uncle Sal. Go home, sleep. Tomorrow we'll deal with everything else. But as I gather my things and step out into Brooklyn's 1 a.m. streets, I know sleep isn't coming anytime soon. I saved a man's life tonight. A dangerous man, a criminal. And somehow, impossibly, I think I just entered his world. The card in my pocket feels heavy, like a key to a door I'm not sure I want to open, but also can't seem to leave closed. The subway platform at 2 a.m. has its own particular brand of desolation. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead, casting everything in that sickly yellow-green that makes even healthy people look like corpses. A man sleeps sitting up on a bench, surrounded by plastic bags that contain either all his possessions or nothing of value, I can't tell which. I should have let Dante's people drive me home. They offered 3 times. But accepting a ride felt like accepting something bigger. Obligation, connection, entry into a world I'm still pretending I can remain adjacent to rather than inside of. The F train arrives with its characteristic shriek of metal on metal. I board an empty car because empty feels safer than the alternative, even though logically I know it's not. My phone buzzes. Unknown number. You're on the train. Car 4. Man with the bags is one of mine. You're safe. I look up sharply, scan the platform as the doors close. No one obvious, no one watching. Another text. Stop looking for us. That defeats the purpose of discreet security. I type back. How did you get this number? I'm Dante Caruso. I get every number. Fair point. Thank you, I send, then immediately wonder why I'm thanking someone for surveilling me. Go home. Sleep. I'll be in touch tomorrow. The train lurches forward, carrying me toward Sunset Park and my apartment that costs too much and has radiators that clang like someone's torturing metal every morning at 6 a.m. I try not to think about the fact that Dante now knows where I live, knows my phone number, knows my mother's medical situation, knows everything about me that matters, and probably plenty that doesn't. I try not to think about Marco and David and Kevin, 3 people who made terrible choices under impossible pressure, about whether I would have done differently in their situations. Mostly I try not to think about the way Dante looked at me when he said, You would have made a good doctor. Past tense. Like that door is permanently closed. Maybe it is. My apartment building is quiet when I arrive. Mr. Chen from 2B has left his newspapers in the hallway again. Someone's cooking fish. The smell permeates everything. Home. I unlock my door, step inside, immediately check every room. Closet, bathroom, behind the shower curtain like I'm in a horror movie. Nobody's here. I'm alone. Except I'm not, am I? Someone's watching my building. Someone's tracking my movements. For my protection, yes. But surveillance is surveillance, regardless of intent. I should feel violated. Angry. Instead, I feel something closer to relief. The Yakuza tried to kill someone tonight. Used 4 people to do it. That kind of organization doesn't forget witnesses. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Uncle Sal. Get home safe? Yes. You? Still at Vesuvio. Insurance paperwork. Fun times. Uncle Sal. Why didn't you tell me about Dante? 3 dots appear. Disappear. Appear again. Because knowing makes you complicit. I wanted you to have the option of ignorance. That option expired tonight. I know, Tesoro. I'm sorry. Get some sleep. We'll talk tomorrow. I set the phone down and stare at my reflection in the darkened window. Who am I now? Still Giulia Russo, failed medical student and part-time bartender? Or someone new? Someone who recognizes poison and partners with criminals and accepts protection from men who make people disappear? Sleep doesn't come until 4 a.m., and when it does, it's full of broken glass and cloudy water, and Dante's voice saying several precautions like assassination attempts are just logistics problems to solve. Morning arrives with the promised radiator symphony. I lie in bed, listening to metal expand and contract, trying to convince myself last night was a nightmare. Then I check my phone and find 17 missed calls, 3 from Uncle Sal, 2 from my mom's care facility, 12 from unknown numbers. My stomach drops. I call the care facility first. Miss Russo? The nurse sounds relieved. We've been trying to reach you. Your mother had an episode last night. She's fine now, but she was very agitated. Kept saying someone was in her room. Was someone in her room? No, of course not. We're secured. But she was convinced. The night staff finally got her calmed down around 3 a.m. I close my eyes. Can I talk to her? She's sleeping now. The episode exhausted her. But you should know she kept asking for you. Said you were in danger. The Alzheimer's sometimes creates these paranoid delusions, but this seemed different, more specific. More specific. Like maybe she sensed something. Or maybe someone actually was there, checking on her, verifying leverage. I'll come by this afternoon, I tell the nurse. After we hang up, I call Uncle Sal. Finally, he answers. You okay? Mom had an episode last night. Thought someone was in her room. Silence on his end. The kind of silence that confirms suspicions. Sal, was someone at her facility? I don't know. But if I were the Yakuza, and I just lost 4 assets in a failed assassination attempt, I'd be doing reconnaissance on everyone involved. Checking vulnerabilities. Your mother would be obvious leverage. Dante said he'd protect us. And I'm sure he is. But protection takes time to arrange. There's always a window where you're exposed. I think about my mother. Confused and frightened in her locked memory care room. Asking for me. Sensing danger she can't articulate because her brain is slowly forgetting how language works. Rage builds in my chest. Clean, pure, clarifying rage. I need to talk to Dante. Giulia. Now Uncle Sal. I need his number. His real number. Not whatever's on that business card. Another pause. Then, I'll text it to you. But be careful how you approach him. Dante respects strength, but he doesn't tolerate disrespect. Noted. The number arrives 30 seconds later. I call it immediately. He answers on the first ring. Giulia. Someone was at my mother's facility last night. I know. I have people there now. Your mother is safe. She's terrified. She has Alzheimer's, and someone terrorized her. That's unacceptable, he interrupts. I agree, which is why I'm moving her. That stops me. Moving her where? To a better facility. One I control. Security is comprehensive. Staff is vetted. She'll have the same quality of care better. Actually, and you'll be able to visit whenever you want. You can't just move my mother without my permission. I can if her current location is compromised. Giulia, listen to me. The Yakuza knows who you are. They know about your mother. The facility she's in now has adequate security for dementia patients. It has zero security for organized crime targets. If you want her safe, you let me move her. I want to argue, want to assert some kind of control over a situation that's spiraling faster than I can track. But he's right. The facility Mom's in is designed to keep confused elderly people from wandering off. It's not designed to keep trained assassins from entering. Where is this new facility? Westchester. Private estate converted to specialized memory care. 15 patients maximum. 3 staff members per patient. I've been using it for associates who need secure care for family members. Associates, I repeat. You mean criminals? I mean people in high-risk situations who need their loved ones protected. Same as you. I hate how much sense this makes. I want to see it before she's moved. Of course. I'll pick you up in an hour. I can take the train. Giulia. His voice is gentle but firm. You're not taking the train anywhere until I'm certain you're not being actively hunted. An hour. Be ready. He hangs up before I can argue. I stand in my apartment, phone in hand, trying to remember when I lost control of my own life. Was it last night when I knocked away that glass? Or earlier, when I started working at Vesuvio? Or 3 years ago when I chose medical school and debt and a future that evaporated the moment Mom got sick? Maybe control was always an illusion. I shower, dress in clean clothes that don't smell like restaurant and fear, make coffee I can't taste, try to eat toast that feels like cardboard. Exactly 1 hour later, there's a knock on my door. Through the peephole, I see him, Dante Caruso, standing in my crappy hallway like he belongs there. He's dressed more casually than last night, dark jeans, black sweater, leather jacket. He looks younger somehow. Less crime boss, more human. I open the door. Ready? He asks. Do I have a choice? Always. You can refuse this. Refuse my protection. Refuse the facility move. Keep your mother where she is and hope the Yakuza doesn't decide she's useful leverage. He meets my eyes. But we both know you won't do that. He's right. We both know. Let me get my coat. The car waiting downstairs is different from last night. Not the sleek black SUV, but something lower profile, a dark gray sedan that could belong to anyone. The driver nods at Dante but doesn't speak. I slide into the back seat. Dante follows, maintaining respectful distance between us. How long will the drive take? I ask as we pull into traffic. 90 minutes. Longer if the hutch is backed up. 90 minutes in a car with a man who orchestrated my mother's relocation without consulting me. A man who's currently protecting me from assassins. A man I saved from poison less than 12 hours ago. Tell me about this facility, I say. He shifts slightly, angling toward me. 3 years ago, one of my associates, man named Vincent, his wife developed early-onset Alzheimer's. She was 46. He was desperate to keep her safe, keep her comfortable. Standard facilities weren't equipped to handle her needs. Plus the security concerns his profession created. His profession being crime. His profession being high-risk business. Dante corrects mildly. I acquired a property in Westchester. Hired a legitimate medical director, someone with geriatric psychiatry credentials, and no ties to my operations. Built a facility that meets every legal standard for memory care, while also maintaining security protocols. How many patients? Currently 12. All family members of people in my organization. All there because standard facilities couldn't guarantee their safety. And my mother would be 13. Yes. I watch Brooklyn slide past the window. Neighborhoods transforming from industrial to residential to commercial and back again. What does this cost? Nothing. I turn to stare at him. Nothing. You saved my life. That creates obligations. Your mother's care is one way I can discharge that obligation. I don't want to owe you. You don't. I owe you. He leans back against the leather seat. Giulia, I'm not trying to buy your loyalty or your silence or anything else. I'm trying to keep you and your family safe because that's what I do for people who've helped me. It's business, yes, but it's also... He pauses, searching for words. It's also the right thing to do. The right thing. From a man who had 4 people zip-tied and interrogated last night, who made a gunman disappear, who operates in worlds where right and wrong are negotiable concepts. What happened to the gunman? I ask. The one from table 9. He's no longer your concern. That's not an answer. Dante looks at me steadily. No, it's not. And I'm not going to give you a better one because you don't want that knowledge. You want plausible deniability, so I'm giving it to you. He's right again. I hate that he's right. Marco, David, Kevin, they're really walking away? With their loved ones safely extracted from Japan, and stern warnings about ever returning to New York. Yes, they were victims, not villains. I don't punish people for being desperate. Just people who make executive decisions to kill you. Exactly. We drive in silence for a while. The city gives way to suburbs, then to the kind of wealthy enclaves where houses hide behind walls and gates and old money. Why did you come to Vesuvio last night? I ask eventually. You said you had intelligence about a Yakuza move. Why walk into it? Because running from threats gives them power. Confronting them on my territory, surrounded by my people, sends a different message. He glances at me. I also didn't expect them to be quite so elaborate. 4-part assassination attempt is excessive even for them, but you survived, because you recognized cloudy water, something in his voice, wonder maybe, or respect. How long did you look at that glass before you reacted? Seconds, maybe 2. I saw Marco carrying water I hadn't poured, saw the opacity. Remembered my toxicology courses. I shake my head. It was instinct more than conscious thought. Instinct keeps people alive. He's quiet for a moment. You would have been an excellent doctor. Would have, I repeat. Past tense. Why? The debt? Debt was the immediate reason. But even before that, I was struggling. Medical school is designed to break you down. See if you can handle the pressure. I was handling it, barely, but I wasn't thriving. Started wondering if I was doing it for the right reasons. What would be the right reasons? Wanting to help people. Wanting to heal. I think I wanted to understand. Understand why bodies fail, why people get sick, why my mother developed a disease that's slowly erasing who she is. I laugh, but there's no humor in it. Turns out understanding doesn't help. She's still sick. I still can't fix it. No, Dante agrees, but you can keep her safe, keep her comfortable. Make sure her final years are as good as possible. That's not nothing. I look at him, really look at him. This man who kills. People professionally is talking about making someone's final years good. The contradiction is staggering. You're not what I expected, I say. What did you expect? Honestly? More monster, less person. He smiles slightly. I'm both. Most people are, if you look close enough. We all do monstrous things to protect what we love. The estate appears through trees like something from a fairy tale. Stone walls, iron gates, a driveway that winds through manicured grounds. The main house is Georgian architecture, elegant, imposing, completely inappropriate for a memory care facility, until you realize that's probably the point. It looks like a wealthy family's country home. Not an institution. Security is subtle but present. Cameras integrated into decorative elements, fencing disguised as decorative ironwork. Guards who look like groundskeepers until you notice the way they move. Mrs. Chen will show you around, Dante says as we exit the car. She's the medical director, former chief of geriatric psychiatry at Mount Sinai. She'll answer any questions you have. Mrs. Chen meets us at the entrance. A woman in her 50s, with kind eyes and graying hair, pulled into a practical bun. She radiates competence. Miss Russo, welcome. I understand your mother may be joining us? Maybe. I want to see the facility first. Of course. Right this way. The tour takes 40 minutes. Everything is as Dante described, high-end memory care with invisible security. Patient rooms are spacious, private, decorated to look like bedrooms rather than hospital spaces. Common areas have art, music, windows overlooking gardens. Staff-to-patient ratio is extraordinary. Medical equipment is state-of-the-art. We specialize in patients with moderate to advanced dementia, Mrs. Chen explains. Our goal is to maintain dignity and quality of life while managing symptoms. We also have psychiatric support for patients who experience agitation or paranoia. What about visitors? Unlimited, though we ask that you schedule in advance so we can prepare your mother. Unexpected visitors can be distressing for dementia patients. And security? Mrs. Chen glances at Dante, who's maintained distance during the tour but never left completely. Our security is comprehensive, she says carefully. We've never had an unauthorized person access the building or grounds. Our patients are safe here. Safe from wandering. Safe from predators. Safe from the Yakuza. I see one of the patients, an elderly man with a name tag reading Vincent, sitting by a window, looking at nothing. This is the man Dante mentioned, probably. The associate whose wife's illness prompted the creation of this entire facility. Can I see a patient room? Mrs. Chen shows me one that's currently unoccupied but prepared for occupancy. It's beautiful hardwood floors, comfortable furniture, personal touches that make it feel lived in. A bathroom with safety rails and emergency call buttons disguised as decorative elements. Would this be your mother's room? I ask. If you agree to the placement, yes. I stand in the empty room, imagining my mother here, safe, comfortable, monitored by qualified staff, protected by Dante's organization. All I have to do is accept his help. What does this cost? I ask again, turning to Dante. I told you, I don't mean money. I mean, what does accepting this cost me? My independence? My freedom? My ability to say no to whatever you ask next? He considers the question seriously. It costs you nothing beyond acknowledgement that we're connected now. You saved my life. I'm protecting yours. That's the extent of the obligation. And if you ask me to do something illegal, I won't. But if you did, then you'd refuse, and I'd respect that refusal. He moves closer, voice low. Giulia, I'm not trying to own you or control you or turn you into an asset. I'm trying to do the right thing in a world where right is complicated. If accepting my help feels like selling your soul, don't accept it. Find another facility. Pay for it yourself. I'll still provide security because that's separate from your choice here. I want to believe him. God help me, I want to believe this man who makes people disappear and controls territory and lives in moral gray areas I don't have maps for. But more than that, I want my mother safe. Okay, I hear myself say. Okay, move her here. But I visit twice a week minimum, no restrictions on timing, and if I ever feel like this was a mistake, you help me move her somewhere else. No arguments. Done. He extends his hand. I shake it. His grip is warm, firm, exactly right. Mrs. Chen smiles. Excellent. I'll coordinate with your mother's current facility. We can have her transferred as early as tomorrow if you'd like. Tomorrow. I confirm, because waiting gives me time to second-guess this decision. The drive back to Brooklyn is quieter. I'm exhausted suddenly, the adrenaline from last night and this morning finally crashing. You can sleep if you want, Dante says. We have another hour. I don't sleep around people I don't trust. Smart. He pauses. For what it's worth, you can trust me, with your safety, with your mother's care, with anything that matters. I keep my promises, Giulia. Even the ones that cost you? Especially those. I close my eyes. Don't sleep, exactly, but drift in that space between consciousness and rest where thoughts become liquid. Somewhere in that drift, I feel warmth settle over my shoulders. Open my eyes enough to see Dante's jacket draped across me like a blanket. Sleep, he says quietly. I'll wake you when we're close. And somehow, impossibly, I do. He wakes me 15 minutes from my apartment. I'm disoriented, muzzy-headed, embarrassed that I actually slept. Sorry, I mutter, shrugging off his jacket and handing it back. Don't apologize for being human. He accepts the jacket. You've been through trauma. Your body needs rest. Your definition of trauma is different from mine. Is it? You witnessed multiple attempted murders, confronted criminals, had your life threatened, and learned your mother is being targeted. That's trauma by any definition. Put that way, he's right. What happens now? I ask. Giulia Russo, a failed medical student turned bartender, has become entangled with Dante Caruso, a powerful crime boss whose life she saved by recognizing poison in his drink at her uncle's restaurant, Vesuvio. Following this incident, her mother, who suffers from Alzheimer's, is transferred to an upscale care facility controlled by Dante's organization, providing the specialized care Giulia couldn't previously afford. Dante offers Giulia a position as a consultant for $5,000 monthly plus coverage of her mother's medical expenses. Her role involves working her regular bartending shifts while observing and reporting anything suspicious, essentially becoming his eyes and ears at Vesuvio. Though aware she's crossing into morally gray territory, Giulia accepts, driven by financial necessity and the recognition that she's already irrevocably involved in Dante's world. Their relationship grows increasingly complex as professional boundaries blur with personal attraction. During an elegant dinner at Il Gabbiano, Dante admits his attraction to her intelligence and strength, while carefully maintaining that their professional arrangement remains separate from any personal involvement. Giulia finds herself drawn to him despite the obvious dangers and ethical complications. Both share similar backgrounds, losing parents to systemic failures that money could have prevented. Dante's father died after borrowing from dangerous people to pay for his mother's medical care, leading teenage Dante to become the wrong people himself. This parallel trauma creates an unexpected understanding between them. As Giulia navigates her new reality from bartender to crime consultant, from struggling with debt to financial security, from isolation to dangerous attraction, she recognizes she's fundamentally changed. She's stepping into the gray areas of morality, where compromise and survival override idealism, and where danger paradoxically feels like coming home. Preparing and narrating this type of story took us long efforts and hard work. So if you are enjoying the story, please consider subscribing to our channel